All right, today we're cracking open the playbook of a Silicon Valley legend, Ben Horowitz. You know him, co-founder of the powerhouse VC firm Andreessen Horowitz, or as pretty much everyone calls it, A16Z. So, here are two huge questions on the table today. First, how in the world do you manage a room packed with geniuses? And second, is this AI gold rush we're seeing just a giant bubble waiting to pop? We're going to get answers straight from Horowitz himself. Let's get into it. Okay, first up, let's peek inside A16Z. I mean, think about it. How do you actually manage a team that Horowitz himself says has a higher concentration of talent in terms of just sheer IQ than any normal company could ever hope to put together? It's a fascinating problem. Well, it turns out it's a totally different ballgame. See, in a normal company, it's pretty straightforward, right? You're managing defined roles to get specific results. But at a VC firm like this, you're not a director, you're more of a guide. Your job is to shape the process so these incredibly smart people can find the best answers themselves. So the big takeaway here is that a manager's job isn't to bark orders. Not at all. It's really about three things. First, you got to guide the whole investment process. Second, you help the team frame risk the right way, which means focusing on what makes a company amazing, not what's wrong with it. And third, and this is huge, you step in to provide clarity when people get stuck so the whole team can keep moving. Okay, so that management style ties directly into their core investment philosophy, and it all boils down to avoiding one single mistake that almost everyone makes. According to Horowitz, there's this one trap that even the smartest, most seasoned investors fall into, time and time again. And it's the very thing that makes them miss out on those once-in-a-generation companies. And what is that mistake? It's getting, in his words, too wrapped around the axle about some weakness that a company has. Basically, you get so focused on the flaws that you miss the magic. The key isn't to look for what's wrong, but to find what is so incredibly, powerfully right. And this quote just nails their whole philosophy. The goal isn't to find a company that's a solid B+ across the board. No, you're looking for the one that is, literally, the best in the entire world at one specific thing. That spike, that one world-class strength, that's what you invest in. That's what builds the next Google or Apple. So that raises a really interesting question, right? How does a firm like A16Z actually organize itself to go find these superstars across tons of different industries, AI, crypto, bio, without just turning into a slow, bureaucratic mess? Well, the whole idea actually started with a chat Horowitz had with the late, great Dave Swensen, the legendary investor from Yale. And Swenson's advice was simple. If you want to have a real productive conversation about an investment, you have to keep the team small. And that's where their basketball team model comes from. Think about it. A basketball team has 5 starters on the court. That's the magic number. So they keep each investment team around that size. It's small enough that it's a real conversation, not just a series of presentations in a giant faceless committee meeting. But how do you scale that? You can't have one basketball team for everything. So they verticalized. They created separate, specialized teams for bio, crypto, AI, you name it. But, and this is the really smart part, they have all these mechanisms to stop those teams from becoming silos. You've got partners from AI attending the enterprise meetings, you have regular leadership syncs, and these twice-a-year offsites with no agenda just to get people talking. It's the best of both worlds, deep expertise, and that cross-pollination you need to see the future. Okay, let's switch gears and apply all this thinking to the biggest thing happening in tech right now, AI. I mean, beyond all the hype, what's actually going on? You know, it wasn't that long ago that everyone thought the future of AI was this giant brain theory. The idea was that maybe 2 or 3 massive foundation models would just do everything. They'd be these all-powerful intelligences, and whoever built them would win the whole game. Yeah, that's not what's happening at all. The reality is way more complex and, frankly, way more interesting. Building a really great AI app isn't about plugging into one giant brain. It's about weaving together a whole network of smaller, specialized models that are each great at one thing. And here's a perfect example, an app called Cursor, which helps programmers write code. Now, to deal with all the nuances of coding, do you think they use just one model? Nope. They use 13 different models, and they even built their own on top of that. It's a fantastic illustration that the future of AI isn't about one generalist, it's about a team of specialists. Okay, so this brings us to the elephant in the room. We see all of this complexity and we see these AI company valuations just shooting into the stratosphere. So you have to ask, are we just living in a massive AI bubble that's about to burst? Horowitz's answer is a firm no. And his reasoning here is super important. He's like, look, I get it. The valuations have gone up faster than anything we've ever seen. But, and this is the whole point, the customer demand and the revenue growth are also going up at a pace we've never seen before. They're growing in lockstep. In past bubbles, like the dot-com bust, the hype was way ahead of actual usage. This time, he says, the user demand is real and it's keeping pace. That doesn't look like a bubble. It looks like a genuine platform shift. So let's pull back for a second for the final piece of this. Why does any of this stuff really matter? What's the bigger picture, the mission behind all this investing? At the end of the day, for Horowitz, it's not just about the money. The core belief is that it's all about enabling human potential. He says the best thing a society can do for someone is give them a real shot, a chance to actually contribute, to build something bigger than themselves. And he sees technology and their role in funding it as the engine for that. All right, let's wrap this up with a quick recap of the playbook. What do we learn today? 1, don't direct geniuses. Guide their process. 2, bet on the spike. Invest in what makes someone the best in the world, not on a lack of flaws. 3, structure your teams like a basketball team, small, nimble, and vertical. 4, the future of AI is not one giant brain, it's a complex network of specialists. And 5, the AI boom is real because the customer demand is absolutely unprecedented. It's not just hype. And that leaves us with one last big idea to chew on. If technology is really what's shaping our future, then who's actually responsible for building it? Maybe it's not just the VCs and founders out in Silicon Valley. Maybe that responsibility and that opportunity is something we all share. Thanks for tuning in.